Hello, thanks very much for clicking on this video. This is our client education program, #AskAlgo from social media search. And the purpose of this video is around your LinkedIn profile. So the reason that we're doing this particular topic is because it's quite likely that hiring managers are coming to you and saying, how should I make sure that my LinkedIn profile looks good? How should I make sure that it's compelling? Over two-thirds of candidates will come and look at the hiring manager's LinkedIn profile before deciding whether or not to apply for that job or turn up for the interview or whatever other stage it might be during the interview process. They will come and look at your profile and the hiring manager's profile. So it's very worthwhile making sure that it looks compelling. I'm going to talk through about 10 to 15 different things that I think we should do. And hopefully by the end of that, you'll be able to go and provide some advice to the hiring managers when they're coming to you to ask for some support. So the very first thing is, make sure that you've got a picture in your profile. If you don't have a picture, candidates are potentially going to feel that your LinkedIn profile is out of date. You might not work for that company anymore. And so it's really important to make sure you have one. What type of picture should that be? I think it depends on the kind of job you do, and it depends on the kind of industry you work in. Certain industries, you might want to be quite formal, and in other industries, you can be very relaxed. You can even be funky. The second most important thing is your professional headline. That's the section that's beneath your name and on the right-hand side of your picture. This section here, the top section of your LinkedIn profile, this is the only thing that people will see when they find you on a search list. So if they're looking for you, somebody like you, you need to make sure that this professional headline is written in a way that accurately describes what it is you do. So mine says my job title, as it is on my business card. It says that we're part of a bigger company. And it also says specifically what we do, social media for recruitment and for business development. Make sure that that's written in a way that accurately describes what it is that you do. Moving down a little bit, a couple of other things that I think are important. Beneath your public profile picture, this is your public profile URL. It's really important to make sure that you've customized this. The reason being, if somebody's looking for an expert, your profile is going to get found more quickly on Google when somebody is typing in certain keywords and that kind of thing. So you do that by clicking Edit and then Customize Public Profile URL. Most of you have already done this before. A lot of people don't really know that actually they're going to get found more quickly on Google once you've done so. Contact info. I think it's important to make sure that every section on your LinkedIn profile can be a marketing tool for you in some way or another. So the top bit's only visible to your connections. Make sure you filled that in though. If you're connected to people, like many of you will be, who you don't actually know yet, chances are they might come to your profile in order to find out the best way to call you, email you, send you a letter, maybe even. It's potentially worthwhile filling these in just in case. Everybody's got a different preference for how they like to communicate, and if you've got multiple different channels for getting in contact with you, people are more likely to get in touch in the way that they prefer. A bit further down, this section that's visible to everybody on LinkedIn. Anybody that comes to your profile will be able to find your Twitter handle in here, and they'll be able to go and follow you on Twitter. Websites, these are worth adding in as well. Bear in mind when you add websites, not to select company page from the drop-down menu. Make sure to select other, because that way you get a free text window where you can type the name of the website in. People are more likely to click through on that if you've customized that. A little bit further down, I'm not going to talk about these publications that I've added on here, because very few people have actually got the opportunity to publish their own articles on LinkedIn in this way. If you have, I would massively encourage you to get writing, because LinkedIn will help you get your content broadcast to hundreds of new people very, very quickly. It's a wonderful honor to be allowed to do this, so make use of it. Next, summary. Your summary is a really, really good tool for doing all sorts of different things, sending people to rich content. So, for example, I've included calls to action. Have a look at my video. Ask me for the password. Come and join some of our LinkedIn groups. I've also included here a couple of the events that we've got coming up. The reason I've done that is because I think your summary can be dynamic. Your priorities are going to change. They're going to change regularly. And this is the first thing that people see when they get to your profile, or when they start going into your profile in a bit more detail. So make sure that you've updated this to include your current priorities. The other thing that I suggest doing in your summary is, if you're happy to be receiving contact, if you're happy to be magnetic to people being in touch, so if you're a recruiter, for example, you potentially want to be a gateway into your organization, then I would include your contact details here as well. The reason being, your contact details at the top of the page, this is only visible to the people you're connected to. A lot of the people that you're going to be making contact with in the future are going to be people that don't yet know you. So add that to your summary, make it easy for them to find out how to get in contact with you. Simple rule is, if they get to your profile and then need to click through and find a website and then need to go to the contacts page, the more clicks somebody needs to make, the less likely they're going to be to actually make contact. So make it easy for them. Something else that's important to mention, make sure when you write your email address in here, you write it out in a way whereby it's not the traditional format for an email address. This section is harvestable to people who want to steal your email address and put it onto a list for spam. Moving down a bit further. I've added on here some video. I've added in some an ebook, articles that I've had published in different magazines and newspapers. All this rich content is visible to your profile in the edit version, and using this box here, the little square, blue square with the addition sign. Click on this, add a link or upload a file. Rich content on your profile is something that's going to really set you apart. Very few people make use of this section, so it's something that you can use to really supercharge your profile. Bearing in mind, a lot of people prefer different ways of digesting information. So if you've included things like video, plus things to read, plus potentially some audio, that kind of thing, then you're going to be appealing to people in the ways that they prefer to digest your content. It will also help people who are coming for an interview to better understand your priorities, your business's priorities. If you're a recruiter, you very probably want to include something around what it's like to work at your organization. So if you've got any employer brand type materials that explain the employment experience, your employer value proposition, that kind of thing. A bit further down, experience. This is the CV type bit of your profile. Again, notice you can add some rich content in here. Something else that's really important. If you're looking to be attractive to potential candidates, then make sure you've got the right types of keywords written in your profile. If my job title simply said Managing Director at Social Media Search, people are not going to find me when they're searching on the terms that I expect them to, such as candidate generation, candidate resourcing, social media, direct hire. So I've made sure to add these keywords in here, and further down my profile I'll show you a couple of other examples. The second thing important to mention about this is bullet points. I think bullet points are quite easy to scan, and that's why I suggest that you include most of the information at the CV bit, that's experience, in bullet points, because they're easy to digest from people that are looking at your profile, potential candidates, that is. So here's another example. Bullet points, easy to scan. Recommendations, very, very important that you go and get yourself some recommendations if you don't have any. I don't personally look at people's recommendations, but that doesn't matter because a lot of people do. So don't do the things that appeal to you. If there's a section that should be filled in, fill it in, because then you're going to be appealing to just about anybody that comes to your profile. Again, another good example, keywords in profile. My job title at PwC, it just said Manager Human Resource Services, but the work I actually did was called Communication Effectiveness Consulting. So I've made sure to add this in here. Again, I've got myself recommendations for most of the jobs that I've done, just as a way of accentuating how you should be going about doing it. Skills and endorsements, the much understood skills and endorsement section. The reason section exists is LinkedIn just being very clever in terms of asking people to give a bit more about themselves so that it can target you with more specific advertising. Fine, that's great. As recruiters, it also helps you find people. So it's a really, really useful section. Again, I don't really look at it on other people's profiles, but that doesn't matter because some people will. They'll look at it and they'll look at it to make an assessment about you. So make sure that your profile, make sure that the hiring manager's profiles include skills and endorsements so that their contacts can endorse them for the things that they've seen they've done. It's crowdsourced credibility. Volunteer experience and causes. Again, every section that you've got something to add for on LinkedIn, add that section. So if you've got any volunteer experience and causes, add it. It's all rich information, good information about you that candidates will use to build up a picture of what you're like and to an extent what your business is like. It'll help them prepare for the interview. It'll help them think about questions for you, and it'll help them appeal to you in a way that they think is going to really be of benefit to both in terms of the interview. Publications, another example. If you've got anything, add it. Languages, if you've got any, add them. Education, well worthwhile adding. Not just because it's a verification of whether or not you have taken your own studies seriously, but because people who are new to LinkedIn or they've just started using it effectively, one of the key things that they'll do is they'll look around for people that maybe are from their past, and you just don't know what that kid that sat next to you in maths is now doing. You might have lost contact 5 years ago, 25 years ago, however long it is. That person could be really useful. So I think if you include in education in here, they're going to be much more likely to find you or to be recommended to each other. Additional info. I think it's well worth adding in some interests, things that you do outside of work. Again, it adds some personality to your profile, and it's good, rich experience that people can use to build up an impression of what you're like. If that candidate who's coming in for an interview is interested in kayaking and they notice that you're interested in kayaking, that can be an icebreaker. Personal details. First thing I'd suggest is you can add your birthday in here. Don't add your birthday in here. That's the kind of information that people are going to need in order to clone your details. So try not to include that. Marital status. I don't see any pros or cons of adding in your marital status, although I find it a little bit weird when somebody's selected single on LinkedIn. Honours and awards. Any certificates and that kind of thing, they're worthwhile adding in here. Organisations. This is things that you do potentially, might be in work or outside of work. Again, just building up an impression of the kinds of things you're interested in. And then certifications, again, absolutely similar. Let's see what I've not added. I've not added projects yet. I'm going to think about that. There's a couple of client projects I could potentially add in here. I need to check with my clients first and see if they're happy to be associated with it. Test scores, I don't know where I'd find them. I can't really remember. I'm not going to add that. Courses, it's kind of covered in a couple of other areas. Patents, yeah, I'm not an engineer or a scientist. I don't currently have any patents. I might one day, you never know. So, thanks very much for watching the video. I hope it's been useful. and feel free to get in touch if you've got any questions, or you'd like to talk to me about social media for recruiting, social media sourcing, virtual communities, and that kind of thing. I'm Adam Gordon at socialmediasearch.co.uk, and then go to my LinkedIn profile full of other ways of getting hold of me. Thanks very much.